What's going on, y'all? Thanks so much for tuning in today. Today's video, we are making this wood duck featherboard here, and it's just gonna be a complete breakdown on how to do it. Super in-depth. There's a lot of talking here, but it's really good information. So I hope you guys will stick through it and just pick it all up. As always, if you have any questions, comments, put them down in the comments below, and I'll answer all of them. And I hope you guys are able to make a featherboard that you're really happy with. So good luck out there. Stay tuned. Here we go. Alright, y'all, so this first clip here, we are just plucking all the feathers off the bird, just grabbing or pinning that bird down and yanking on the feather. Alright, here's the feather breakdown. Got the wing, like flight feathers, and then these are like the colorful feathers. These are the ones that lead into the body. These are kind of breast feathers with the cool red with the dots. And these are the side feathers with the tips. And these are just more of the side feathers that are just, plain. And there's the tail fan that I just kind of picked apart there. So that's a breakdown. All right, so all I'll start off doing here is marking the center of the board and then marking kind of the dimensions I want to pin out the feathers on. And then just, it helps to lay down feathers and mark it as well. But then all I'm doing is starting by, I'll grab the feathers that I want to pin down, especially on these body feathers. I'll grab the feathers, snip off the down with some scissors, and then I'll use this Gorilla Glue adhesive spray the board, and then lay the feathers down on top of it. Alright, y'all, so as you can see, we just finished kind of the base feathers for the featherboard. So what I am going to do is I want to add these kind of like the breast feathers that look really cool. I want to add them kind of right in the middle, I think, leading down into here, and then the tail kind of lay on top of it into them. And I think that'll look pretty neat. So I'm just going to kind of do those right here in the side, and then maybe add a few more of kind of these same feathers over here. So these are the feathers that are kind of under the wing, but near, getting close to the tail, and that's where all the cool, these color bits on the sides. So I figured I'd just leave that on the sides and just do the plain ones down through here. But this whole thing is up to you. So I was getting a bunch of comments on what feathers do you pick, and it's honestly 100% up to you. The way I kind of do it is these feathers, these are really similar to the mallard ones, so they're almost all over the breast. As you can see on this duck, the feathers are the breast feathers are going to be this lighter color here, and that's good and all, but as you can see, these feathers are teeny, and once you cut the down off, especially, there's not much to work with. So the reason I like these feathers that are usually here on the sides is because they're a lot longer and a lot bigger, somewhat like these. And even some of these were getting small, but they're a lot bigger, and especially on mallards. The mallards had a ton and it really wasn't any sort of problem. And this one I think is going to be a little bit bigger than the mallard board, but yeah, I mean, you can really just pick whatever colors you like the look of. And even if you wanted to use the feathers on the back here, these purple feathers, that could have looked really good into some of this stuff, especially on the wing. These purple, some of the greens, whatever feathers you use are gonna look really good, and that's kind of up to you. But these are my choices, the same way I did it on the mallards, and yeah, these are the ones I'd go to. Also, as you can see, where it gets kind of light, you can kind of tell it's not perfect and it's not fully filled, but to be honest, I mean, that's fine with me. I don't need it, too perfect. I'm just, I like the rest of the board more than this, so I'm not going to worry too much about little holes like that or lighter spots. I think it just kind of adds to it for me. But the way you would fix that is literally just put more dense feathers. So I have about 3 layers here, you can kind of see. I would just, fill them down to just over this, and then just add a bunch more layers and overlap them a lot more sideways and up and down. And there you can see that's a layer, so just scoot that down and that would completely disappear. So yeah, you can see, it's darker where it overlaps and lighter where it doesn't, but that's completely up to you to use as many feathers as you want to get whatever, color and thing you need. All right, y'all, so we're about to put these feathers on, and what I think I'm gonna do is just leave the down on. And so I'm gonna just start it down here, because as you can see, like here, all you can really see is the feather tips, and that's all that's under. So what I'm gonna do is leave the down on and then just make sure I get a lot of that spray adhesive. I'm trying to get this on film for y'all, but it's real tough because they, you know, they curl and bend. But I'm gonna try and just lay it all down and then almost brush it out, if that makes sense. I'll try and slow down the time lapse I've got going, but yeah, that's the plan. So just kind of lay them down, leave the adhesive on just so we have something to hold and work with, and then just layer it. So I'll do like a layer here, then spray adhesive over this down, and then stack, you know, the next one. So it might even come up a little and create a little texture, but it'll be cool. And here's that slowed time lapse I told you guys. It's really just, I like to lay them down, I spray the adhesive, and then put my finger on the tip of the feather that we want to see, and then just lay the rest of it down flat, and it looks really good. Alright, so as you guys can see, I just started doing these breast feathers, and it's actually working real good with the down. It's just, you know, kind of going down with that adhesive, and you know, they're looking real good. And so this is 2 or 3 layers already, and it's hard to tell, but you just have to stack them real tight and close and kind of replicate, you know, how this is literally like probably 100 feathers, right, in just this, just to create, you know, each one of these, you know, little things where it gets, you know, darker and darker, and just kind of emulate that. So start and then get a little darker, and now I'm gonna throw these ones, which are the dark ones with the colors, on there. Okay, so I've just kind of gotten that done with the dots, like those breast feathers done, and I'm actually really happy with how that looks. Now, I was kind of wondering, well, now, like, you know, what do I do out into the wings and like up here? Because the way I'm going to put the, you know, the wing flight feathers, they'll be a little bit diagonal, so this has to, the outside has to be a little higher than the center where the tail fan's going to be anyways, because now this tail fan is going to come down to, you know, right at the edge of where the color in these feathers starts. So I was gonna need something else. So here I went over and looked at the bird, and this is what I think I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna blend it where it kind of turns to purple and then a green back here. And I think I'm gonna just kind of blend that together with all of these feathers. And I'll try and, like, down here, it looks like there's some bigger feathers that I can use. Whatever helps. The bigger the feathers, it's so much easier. I can't emphasize that enough. So yeah, like the bigger feathers, these, you can find the bigger feather, these, like these teeny ones, it's really hard. And there's definitely not, I was thinking to do this all the way across, but it's definitely not enough. So if I can blend that out how it is in the body, that'll be really, really cool. So here's what we got going. As you can kind of see in the light, these on the end are kind of fluorescent feathers, and we kind of just blended them in. So yeah, still the same, you know, bottom. These breast feathers here that kind of wrap around, these are the feathers that wrap around to the back, and down his back. So now what we're gonna do, I've started kind of laying out the tail. I'm gonna probably pin the tail fan, center that up, and then we'll start going on the wings and fill those in. And I think it's gonna look real good. So I forgot to mention, I recommend laying down the tail fan where you want it and marking everything before you start gluing. And then this is where I'll switch to the glue gun for all these bigger feathers where they bend. It's way better, and I totally recommend it. Okay, so I was just, you know, putting these wing feathers on, and so for the wing feathers too, definitely the hot glue, because as they're curved, you can, you know, hold them for the hot glue for a couple seconds, and I'll hold them down flat. I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking at all. I needed feathers, you know, up to here for these, or I needed to bring them down lower, and I just totally was not thinking. So my plan is, I think I glued them to like here, so I'm hoping I can just barely let these feathers and glue some more here. So the feathers I found and pulled are some of those white ones. They're just kind of under their arm there, so we're hoping that'll work. But that's what I'm gonna try. We'll see how it goes. Guys, so here's how it's looking so far. I think it's coming out pretty good. I'll try and, oh yeah, there you can go. You can see it in the light there. It's looking really cool, I think. So here's kind of what I'm thinking so far. So it's really like, as far as it goes for picking feathers and putting stuff where you want, it's completely up to you. The biggest thing I like to do that's going to be consistent throughout all my boards are the like flight feathers beneath, and then the pretty feathers are going to stacked on top of it, as you can see. And I hot glue these every single time because they all have a lot more curve and bend. Like you can see how that's a curved feather and it doesn't just lay flat on its own. So when you hot glue it, hot glue dries real quick, that you can just hold it for a few seconds and then, you know, it'll stay, rather than the spray adhesive will kind of, it'll hold it great for these flat, you know, small feathers, but it's not going to work great for the big ones. And then as far as it goes with, you know, putting the tail, putting whatever stuff, I definitely think the mallard in the last video was a lot easier. If you haven't checked that out, check out that video too. That video kind of, it doesn't explain it as much, but it kind of just shows you the time-lapse process. But yeah, what I mostly try and do when I pick the feathers is I'm always going to do these wing feathers on both sides, and I'm always going to do the tail in the middle. And then the rest of them, I kind of just do what I think would look good. So like on the mallard, I just did all this with a background. Only this, you know, with the wings could look great for the wood duck as well. And then I still haven't fully decided for what I'm going to do here. For here, like on the mallard, I just did a transition from the blue tail feathers into the grayish back feathers. Here you could even put these breast feathers up here and transition it into back feathers into, you know, the tail fan, and then not do any of this here. I'm actually kind of liking how this is looking. I don't know, but maybe my next one I'll try it up there. This is, like I said, this is my first wood duck that I've shot, and my first wood duck that obviously I've done a board with then. So yeah, I'm just kind of going with it, and you can really just do whatever you want, whatever you think looks best. There's not a lot of inspiration. Like when I look at photos online and whatnot, there's not as many as you'd think, and a lot of the people on YouTube and whatnot and Instagram are kind of gatekeeping it because they won't, you know, they're trying to sell you their business, whatever. So that's why I'm trying to show you guys the process, and just, you know, I didn't pay anyone to learn, I just learned by doing it, and so I'm just trying to show you guys as well, and kind of be someone out there that, you know, people can learn off of. So yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. These do come up a little short from here, so that's why there's, you know, some of these feathers that merge the wings into the body, and I'm gonna just line these, and especially on these wood ducks, they're such a cool color that it really helps it to pop. But on my mallard, what I did too is I laid out all of the wing feathers first and marked them all where I wanted, and then I also like positioned this tail like down here. So on the mallard I had it down here because, you know, I wanted the little curly feathers to be more of a center point rather than just all the feathers, and, you know, some of this stuff as well. So yeah, I've basically just, you know, just switched up a little bit for this wood duck, and I'm kind of keeping the tail fan in the middle and kind of level with the tips of these feathers and wings. And yeah, I think it's coming out nicely. This recovered pretty good for the fact, and then I've, you know, patched over here. So we're just finishing the second side right now. Y'all, we have just gotten both wings on, tails on there. As you guys can see in the light, those feathers are just beautiful. So I'm really happy with this. Obviously this is not done, so now my plan is to go, there's a couple more feathers on each side, you know, that'll kind of blend these in. I'll just show you guys what that will look like. Just kind of like that on both sides. And then like on the duck, there's a lot of these, which we're gonna incorporate these. If you can kind of see it in the light, kind of can't, but they're really cool colored, almost like teal color, greenish, bluish, light blue. That's pretty cool. And then what we're also gonna do is try and add some of these, like this purple and these like little orange bits on the black. I really like that, so we're gonna try and add that as well from the duck. And we're just gonna kind of add that, I think, in here if we can. If it doesn't work, we won't. But I'm gonna finish gluing these two on each side, and so basically now we're just merging it into the tail. And then up top, we'll do some of the layers of the wings, and then we'll layer up the tail a little bit to, you know, about wherever the top of the wings go to, and then that's basically where we'll cut it off and put our frame. Alright, so on this wing here, I really like these kind of greenish feathers right there. There's like a, you know, a little green on them, a little blue. So I pulled them out and I've stuck the light hits them. You see these 4 right here that I kind of did 2 and 2, and I stuck those right there, and I'm really liking it. I mean, in light, this duck is just beautiful, man. So I'm gonna do that on the other side here, and then we're gonna start focusing on kind of the tail and what we want to stack on top of that tail fan, and then I'm just working it up the body. Alright, y'all, we have just finished it up. So this is how it's gonna hang. I like him facing down, so that's it in the light, you know, if it's on the wall. I think it's gonna look real good. I'm really glad that I did do these little orange sprigs. I think it's just a little bit of detail. And then the feathers, the wood duck feathers are really weird, to be honest. Like they're much different than a lot, because they are almost all of them are fluorescent, like all these ones. So they, in different lighting, it just looks so much different. But I will be honest, this was way harder than the mallard, and I think that's just because of how much a wood duck has going on and how much of the feathers are kind of on display and on show, and how similar they can look. So now all we have to do is literally, we're just gonna get a frame for this. In my last video, I made my own frame, but now that I'm not at home anymore and I'm back in a dorm, I obviously cannot make my own frame, but we'll just literally line the frame up, you know, like right there. So it'll cut across and you'll just see, you know, those sprigs, these feathers into this, and then we'll put it right at the edge to where you can't see too much white up here, but it doesn't cut off too much of these feathers. And then obviously, you know, right at the wing. So if I have to do some adjusting to like a frame that's already a size, we'll do that. But yeah, that's the board. I'm pretty happy with it. Next time, I think I would shorten this. Like I did a lot of these feathers, and I think I would, you know, maybe not go so long and only go to like there, you know, so stack these kind of on these more. And maybe even I was thinking it could be cool to, instead of doing all of this for the back, to like, you know, do breast feathers up here and work down, just through the different color feathers, and just kind of blend those all together down to the tail. The thing about wood ducks is their tail isn't like, it's not like a mallard where it stands out a lot, you know, like how the mallards have the white tail, it, you know, stands out from their wings a lot. Their tail doesn't stand out as much. Another thing I forgot to mention with this wood duck is, for the mallard, I cut the tail fan. I don't think I have any photos of it, but I cut the tail fan off almost like a turkey fan, where I left that little bit of skin with, you know, all the feathers together. I essentially left it kind of like a turkey fan like this, with all the skin on it. And it actually, I mean, it made it way easier. I decided this time to try and pull the feathers out. And to be honest, I would 100% recommend just taking a knife, and you'll see where the top feathers of the tail divide from the bottom feathers, and you'll be able to separate those, and just really, the real sharp knife, and just go real slow and kind of cut in between those. And you know, you'll see there was, I think, a couple of glands that you really had to clean out after, but I just really, you know, cleaned off the skin and then let it dry a little bit, and then, you know, didn't pin it out like a turkey fan to let it dry, but then I just kind of, you know, put it on the board where I wanted it and glued it, and then it, you know, dries over time and it's in that, you know, the spot. But it really was good at keeping it really natural, and giving it a great shape. You know, it was really perfect, especially on the mallards with those curly feathers that matter so much. I would 100% recommend doing that. And I tried it without this time, and I'll for sure go back to that anytime I do this in the future. I got this frame that fits, it's the closest size to the board. And so from that like angle, like that's perfect up and down wise, you know, like this, the height of it. So basically what I'm doing right now, I'm trimming this, as you can see there. So I'm just gonna trim all this back and glue it down, and then I'm gonna print out two like mini photos, one of me holding the bird and one of just the bird. And I think that'll be a really cool touch to kind of add there to fill that space. So we're doing that right now. I'll show you once it's glued. All right, y'all, we were just able to get the photos printed out. So I put the photo of just the bird, the colors. Oh, there's a bad glare. Then a photo of me with the bird. And honestly, I think it looks great. It did overlap here on the tip of the wing more than I would have liked. But honestly, I'm not complaining at all. I think it looks really good. And the fluorescence and all the feathers and all the light looks really good. And then all I did on the back here was I just added some hanger, just little things to hang on. So we're gonna put it up on the wall. I think I'm gonna put it above the turkey for right now, at least. I'm gonna try it, so I'll show you guys it on the wall. There it is, up there. The light hits it pretty good. It's not, you know, perfect for the light, but I think it's just about the best. If I put it where the turkey was, it would be best for the reflection. So you can kind of see all these fluorescent turkey feathers, but up there, it looks sweet. You can see it coming in real well in the light. And over there, I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. When I first did it, and like, you know, when I was working on it and had first finished it, I honestly didn't really like it. I didn't think it would come out as good as the mallow. Hopefully this video will help you guys for any bird, because I think a wood duck is probably one of the hardest birds. It's got the most going on to choose feathers. But yeah, I didn't really like it at first, and especially with that frame, I think that kind of really brought it together. I think it looks really good, and I'm really happy with how we were able to make the frame work with the photos. And I think the photos are just a cool touch to have on there too. So I'm really stoked on that, and really happy with it. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate every view, and I really hope I can help you guys as well too as you're making one. So if you have any comments, questions, put them down below, and I'll get back to all of them. And yeah, good luck on your featherboard, and I'll see you in the next one.